Clyde's garden planner. Getting all my seeds ready. Today is March 1st. Let's see if we can do a close-up more. One side is spring, and so you can see that up here, and the other side is fall. So what I did was I looked up our date of the average last spring frost for the city that's nearest to us is actually, I put it up here. So on 4/27, the city that is nearest to us is 1,456 feet. And so we are about 1,800 feet above sea level. So the best time for us to grow is 6 to 8 weeks or seed start before our last frost. But if I'm going to do direct sowing, I wait to after Mother's Day because that's like the second week of May, usually about May 10th. And the way to read this thing is that you take this red line here, which is the average last day of frost, and you pull this here to match up with your date. So in this case, it'll be, hopefully that you can still see that, it'll be April 26th. So give or take, but today's March 1st. If you go back to March 1st, I'm actually late. This little SI here means indoor seating dates. I'm not gonna do indoor seating because I don't have room in the house. So I'm going to do plastic gallon containers and put those seeds in there. We still have, tomorrow is going to go down to 18 degrees, but during the day it'll be like probably in the 40 to 50 range. So the best way to look at this is to figure out what I'm going to plant first. Is I'm going to just do winter planting in the gallon jugs and then prep my other seeds to get them ready to just put them in seed start trays. But if you look at FP way down here, it's kind of hard to, so FP down here means first outdoor planting dates. So that's, for me, it's going to be Mother's Day. That's the best that I've found throughout the years. And you can see the SI means indoor seating, and the asterisk means plants are recommended. Second section says the check mark means expected harvest dates, and the RR is plant in raised rows, plant in raised hills. So that's for like, is what should I be planting now in my seed starting if I were to do it in the house? And that would be things like anything that says SI. So cabbage and cauliflower. If I look at my last average spring frost is April 26th, and I look across this way, it'll say that in February I should have started cabbage and cauliflower, which I did not. So I'm gonna still try and grow some cabbage, and we'll see how that goes. The other thing is that today is March 1st, so if I look down to March 1st, I should be planting broccoli. A little off here, I pushed it. So it says SI, and then in another 2 weeks, I can start growing lettuce. I'm not really into lettuce because I go for more of the hardier greens that I can both eat fresh and cook. So that would be things like spinach, Swiss chard, those types of things. So Swiss chard, if I look down here, and there's a lot of vegetables that are not on here. These are just the general things that people would grow and want to use a planter for. So these check marks are expected harvest dates. If I were to grow the spinach and do first outdoor planting in, let's see, March, in probably 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. Let's see if I move this a little bit more over. Yeah. So if I grew spinach and did my first direct sow on March 22nd, which is about 3-4 weeks from now, I could get a harvest by April 26th. So that's how you would use this. So one of the videos that I recently saw was talking about the 25 Depression era garden vegetables that were grown back in the 1930s during the Depression, and they were calculated as having the highest nutritional value. So I'm going to focus this year on growing these vegetables. Many of them I've already have been growing over the past years, many years. And so I just wanted to go over this 25 vegetables. There's some that I could not find the seeds for, like this thing called salsify, something called cardoons, which is like an artichoke, and skirret, which is some perennial vegetable. Good King Henry perennial, which is like spinach, and American grape nut, which is a tuber. Also lamb's quarters and sea kale. Now some of these things can be found on various websites with people who may have seeds and starters and that type of thing, but I'm going to just focus on the things that I already know. So a little less than 25, but I just want to go over these things. So one of the things that I have not really grown, I think I tried to grow it. I just recently made 2 orders of seeds. So this is rutabaga. Let's see if I can do a little close-up of my list here. Don't mind my notes. So lots of them are root vegetables because they should store well if stored correctly because of their root vegetables. So rutabaga is one. Beets, this video that I saw listed the giant mango wurzel. I could find this seed, but that thing is so huge, it's like a small child. So I'm not going to grow this giant beet, but I have a lot of other beet seeds that I will put in my garden. Jerusalem artichoke. Several years ago, I bought the tubers from an Asian market, came home, transplanted it. They did grow and they do multiply. I did try them. It's not the easiest root plant to digest. It can cause bloating and gas and all that kind of stuff. So what I've found that it grows really well for the chickens for shade. So I'm going to transplant them into these potted cloth containers that I have so that I can have more shade for the chickens. That's what they need. But in case I need it, I'll have Jerusalem artichoke. So that's where I got the plants for those. I just bought the root vegetable from an Asian market. Winter radish. So I'm going to grow a bunch of different radishes and look at the dates, whether they're recommended for fall or spring. I'm going into spring. Here's parsnips. Now I do have parsnip seeds. I have not had good luck and I have not grown parsnips and carrots correctly. Well, I tried to, but I'm going to try a new method, which is mixing flour, water, making a paste, and putting a seed on the toilet paper roll that is supposed to break down easier. So probably the RV type of toilet paper roll. And the parsnips, supposedly you can also eat the leaves. So I'm just making notes to myself when I watch these videos, but it's good to have like a theme of what you're going to do, what you're going to grow. And I tend to go all over the place, but I find that the most that I spend my money on if I don't have it in the garden is greens. So I would prefer a vegetable that allows me to eat the leaves in addition to the roots. So greens are my top. Turnips, I love turnip greens, and within 6 weeks it says that you can get greens. You can leave the roots in and just harvest the greens and then the roots later on. So definitely I will, I haven't had the greatest with root vegetables, so I'm going to try again this year and do some more reading on root vegetables. And I do have turnip seeds. Collard greens. Last year, maybe the last couple of years, I have not grown collard greens successfully. I think I started too late and I didn't want to get the the starts from the big box stores. They're just too darn expensive. So if I can't get them from a local, if I can't start them myself and then get the starts from a local greenhouse, then I just kind of lose out. So I have some Vates collard greens, and I have southern, I think it's southern Georgia. So I'll grow collard greens. I'll start my seeds. I'll do better this year just because I have one less person that I'm needing to take care of, and I think I feel more focused this year, and early enough to be able to start my seed starts. Swiss chard. I love Swiss chard. You can cut and come again. I have a variety of colors and all that kind of stuff. So I need to look at the date. I think it's about 2 to 3 weeks from now where I can do direct sowing. I'm going to make a note here. I put carport. You can't really see that, but DS will equal direct sow. And Swiss chard can take up a lot of space. So I'm kind of debating about growing it on one of my beds that is in the carport, but it'll be easier for me to get to. I will do them from seed. Actually, I'm going to do, yeah, I changed my mind. I'm going to seed start them and probably do both. So I'm going to do direct seed as a number 2 and seed start. My handwriting's not the best right now. I'm on albuterol. Let's see. So we go from Swiss chard, which I think of my favorite greens is Swiss chard. It's the best and easiest for me to grow here, and red Russian kale, which I don't think kale is on this list, which is interesting. So I'm going to put down here is my red Russian kale. I do have a variety of kales. I don't really like kale except red Russian kale, and it works well to saute, use as a green that actually sautés pretty well. So I'm going to put that note there. Danish boarhead cabbage. We have so many white flies or white butterflies that will nest their eggs on my greens. So even with the bug netting. So I'm going to try the Danish boarhead cabbage. This is what's recommended from the 25 Depression era garden. So we'll see how that goes. I always put bug netting down, but they get in anyway. And they say sometimes they're in the dirt and then they come out when your little greens are sprouting and just decimate your vegetables. So anyway, we'll try again. Navy bush beans. I always grow green beans, long purple beans, and sometimes the Chinese green beans. My favorite is usually just a regular green or yellow or purple bush bean, along with the red noodle bean. However, the Depression era garden specifically said navy bush beans because you can dry it on the vine along with corn. So corn is used as your stock on for it to crawl up on, and it's specifically named the navy bush bean. So I ordered some of those. Kentucky Wonder Pole beans, I don't like them. Part of it is because they're bigger. Maybe I harvested them too late. They're a climbing bean and they grow pretty well here in Northeast Tennessee. And I harvest them when they're green. I give away a lot of it, but they're flat. They seem a little hairy. I don't quite care for the taste. I do have the seeds, and so I'm going to I'm going to grow them because you can dry to preserve them. So I'm going to probably just grow them, give them away, and also keep them to preserve, because the dry beans I can cook with other things, also as a supplement, cooked beans for the chickens and for the dogs. Ground cherries. So I've never grown this particular variety. One person in our family cannot have, he's on a low potassium diet. We do grow tomatoes, and I get them from a local nursery because he starts in February and today's March 1st. So he doesn't have ground cherries, but I did buy the seeds, and I'm going to try them. It just looked interesting because they have this little paper kind of covering on it. It is supposed to be sweet, and so we'll go with the, we'll try ground cherries this year, which is a cherry tomato. Field peas, this says a dual purpose pea. I have a ton of different peas. I'm just gonna grow them. I don't think I have this field pea of whatever they were talking about. They didn't give a variety. If you watch any of these videos, people talk about these are the types of things that you need to grow. You need to find out what variety they're growing, and this one didn't say it. But I do have a bag of field peas, which I think this is what this is for, to be nitrogen fixers. When right before winter, you throw it on the ground to grow. The chickens love to eat the greens from this, and then it'll put nitrogen back into your soil. So I think that's what this is, but this dual purpose pea means that you can eat it fresh or eat it dry to preserve. Field corn, this is not your sweet corn. This is a hardy corn to ground into cornmeal. We don't eat that much cornmeal. We're more of a rice family, being from Hawaii. And so I will grow whatever corn we have, and I do have different types of corn because the chickens like to eat this. So these are going to be supplements for the chicken feed. Storage onions. I could only find Australian brown seeds and not the yellow globe. So I'm going to do a bunch of onion seed starts. I have not done this. I've always gone to the one of the garden centers and bought onion starts. And there's different stories about how best to do the onion starts, but I do some onions and mainly green onions, and green onions are not on this list, and green onions are not part of the Depression era time, but I do like my green onions in soups and everything else that I can, and I'll usually harvest the green onions or go buy organic green onions, cut the tops, chop them up into small pieces, put them in the freezer, and then grow the base part of it. So right now I have a couple of bunches of green onions that are ready to go into the garden when that's ready. So as I mentioned, I couldn't find these two. I did see somebody who has a small farm and they sometimes have these, so I could look into that later on. And let's go to the next page. So I had done this recording before, and for some reason it didn't go through. So I do have some drawings down here I'll share with in a bit. So this American ground nut, I don't know what that is. It's some kind of tuber, but I wrote notes to myself that I am going to plant certain things in my container bag type 25-gallon containers that I have, where I'm just going to put compost in there and whatever I have. So runner beans, how are those different from the other beans on the other page? It's called runner beans. They're climbing beans. I believe the dragon type bean is in there. They're climbers. So in my other section that I put beans, where was it? Down here. So these bush beans, navy bush beans, so those are low, and they're kind of a pain to harvest bush beans because you got to get down on your knees. Kentucky wonder beans are climbing beans, but like I said, I usually go for a different type of bean. And so there's a bunch of Asian vegetables that I would grow, and these runner beans usually don't get placed on my list because I have the purple yard bean, or long, what is it called? Purple noodle bean or something like that. Red noodle bean, whatever. Anyway, I ordered some of these just to try it out, and we will go with that. Another thing is dandelion, which is normally a, or always probably a weed, but the larger leaves are variety, can be grown in containers, and then they should reseed themselves every year. Lamb's quarters is also a weed, so I would put that in a container if I ever could get that. Sometimes at local farmers markets, people will also sell those things. And the last one, sea kale, is a coastal type of vegetable, I guess you could call it, that it normally grows in sandy soil. We're not in Florida anymore, so we're not going to even pay attention to that one. Now, these are notes to myself in my notebook. to seed start today. I'm going to move some things. It looks like all that I have to grow or to start in is going to be cabbage. That's not on this list. It's on my other section of my video when I go over the dates to start. Continuing to prep my garden beds. These are some of my tasks, which means some of my garden beds will need to add on another thickness piece of wood on the side because it's kind of falling apart after, let's see, we've been here probably my first batch of raised beds since 2018. It's now 2025, so they're breaking down, and even though they're deck boards, just the dirt has kind of broken that down. So I'm building them up more, and I have more wood chips that kind of have almost equaled up to the top of the raised beds, that I only put one layer of wood when I put the beds up. So let's back up here. And then one of the other tasks that I'm going to work on is building my pipe. I was going to buy some electric conduit pipe to put on the sides of my raised beds. It's just my drawing. So this is my raised bed, and then the idea is to put the 1-inch pipes on the side, maybe about 6 inches, and then stretch my PVC over it so it has more stability. This will probably be cheaper to do it this way. I saw it on another gardening video than using what do you call that? The steel bar that goes into the ground, and that tends to get buried, and it's actually become much more expensive. So I'm going to try the electric conduit, 1 inch here and then 1/2 inch PVC, which I have a bunch of those and want to use that. And then I can put bug covers over all of them, and which I usually do have bug covers over all of them, but they're not sealed well, so I need to work on that. And then I can use shade cloth if I need to, or when it goes into winter, I can put plastic or snow covering over it. So the other thing I need to do for this weekend is to clean out, this is just my notes here, so clean out the carport raised bed. So in there I had a bunch of greens and things like that, and I just kind of let it sit there, but I'm going to put my kitchen garden there. And today we're supposed to, or tonight we're supposed to have near 18-degree temperatures, so I'm going to have to get what I can get done today, cover up the chicken area, and do some planting in, I have gallon jugs, so there are milk jugs. I don't know if I can draw a milk jug without seeing it. So milk jugs usually have like a handle, and oh no, this is bad. But I'm going to cut part of it where the handle part is still attached, and then fill it up with dirt, and then tape it. So dirt and seeds, and this will be the it's like a little, it's only little, oh, there's a little hole up here, and you can put the cap back on. So that's milk jug. So these are notes for myself to remind me what I did March 1st, and then March 8th I think is another day to do seed starts, and I will do this in trays and put them in the plastic kind of hoop house I have to keep it out of the wind and the cold. So this is going to be cabbage. And then I might even test doing some Swiss chard now instead of next week on March 8th. But yeah, I got a lot of things to do, and then lots of seed starts for March 8th. So that's my planning schedule for this next 2 weeks. I do have a lot of seeds I'm going through, just kind of sorting through. I have my original, these are 4x6 photo keepers that have held seed in it, but then it's gotten messy over the years, where I then went to this other storage containers that I could get from one of the craft stores. And so I got more over there that I need to go through. And I'm just trying to look at which seeds I have. I just made an order yesterday for 2 different companies of things that I might be out of or I wanted updated. And I'm also getting my beans ready, but beans I will do direct sow. So I do grow red noodle beans, are probably my favorite. I'm gonna try and grow this. The red noodle beans and the asparagus, I think I just planted them too late. And then I'm also getting my bed ready next to my carport, which is near the house, and I'll put basil and herbs and that type of thing. So this weekend, in addition to this stuff that I'm gonna do here, it's also to clean out the raised bed next to my carport, which is nearest to the kitchen, and then top it off with some compost just to get that ready for direct sow planting in about 3 weeks.